Hello and welcome to a Football Chat Show episode 1. Today we are joined with, me, your host Ewan, and my co-host for today, Jamie. How you doing, Jamie?
I'm good. Good. How about you?
Yeah, good. Not too bad. Excited to get this show on the road.
Yeah, same.
So we've chosen this week to do it. It's the international break. Obviously, what a great summer it was. England and the Euros was a love story no one thought would happen. But we're now here. We're doing it because we don't really care about the international break. The friendlies, the games we're playing. We played Andorra yesterday. Big 4-0 win.
They're a bunch of plumbers. If you don't beat them by 4 at least, then you're worrying about...
Four was actually pretty embarrassing, I think. But anyway, we digress. We're going to start off today looking at the Premier League. We've had 3 fixtures so far. We are obviously, ideally, we'd have started this before the Premier League started, but I think initial international break is not.
I think it might actually be better to do it as like 3 games in, because then you've got actually a little, like, kind of idea of what teams
that was
are
my
looking
thought. Spencer Owen, shout out Spencer. He always says, "Why would you do your best transfer of the summer before the end of the deadline day?" Do you know what I mean? He goes, why would you ever do the start of the Premier League before the start of your prediction for the Premier League 6 months in advance? Do you know what I mean? Or 3 months in advance or whatever. So this is a good one. So the start of the Premier League, what have you thought so far?
I'm surprised by how good Tottenham seem to be. They're not battering people, but even without Harry Kane in the first couple of games, they're getting the job done. I kind of just assumed they'd be a typical Nuno team, like they'd just twat you on the counter, and wouldn't be massive. I mean, I don't think they're going to win the league. Put it that way. They can be top now, but with a centre back pairing of Eric Dyer and Sanchez, I can't see them getting close. But I've been surprised by how well they've played in the first 3 games. I think my main takeaway.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So my biggest thing for the league from the start of the league so far has definitely been the intensity of every game.
Oh God, yeah.
No matter who it is, all of them look right up for it. I've watched most of them unless I've been at work. We've got a premise this at the start. I would have said it in the little intro thing that's going to go up on the channel. We're not experts. We can't watch every game. We can't have 7 screens on for the 3 o'clock kickoffs. So we'll watch as much of them as we can, but we can't watch everything. It's a premise of the show. It's just how it's going to go. We're not experts. We're here to give our opinion. We love talking about football, so why not let other people hear it about us? But yeah, the intensity of the games all seem really, really good. I've been buzzing with them. All of them. I've actually loved watching them. I watched the back end of the Newcastle West Ham game the other week, and that was absolutely class. It was quality, wasn't it?
Yeah, that game was mental.
They were really good. So what I want to know is, how do you think the league's going to play out? We'll look at who we think's going to get relegated, who we think might overachieve, and then who we think's going to hit the top 4. And obviously, I reckon we start with relegation.
Right.
Who do you think is an early contender for relegation, or who you had down from the start that could get relegated?
It's a tough one because a lot of the relegation teams came out quite aggressive in the first weekend, actually. Yeah. I was surprised about. Like, your Watfords were pretty good on the first weekend. They beat Aston Villa, who I had down as maybe a cheeky black horse top 6. Dark horse, not black horse, what I'm talking about. But they came out really quickly. I think Norwich will be my stone cold will go down.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Which is weird.
I saw a lot of people...
No, you go.
Sorry, I saw a lot of people saying Palace. Which I was surprised about. I don't know what your thoughts on them are, but a lot of people.
They hadn't scored a goal in the league until last weekend, did they?
No.
So it's a teething period for Patrick Vieira, isn't it? He's never done management at this level, has he?
Exactly. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Obviously, didn't like the world on fire at Nice or in America when he was there, did he?
No.
So it's going to be interesting to see how he gets along. So I agree with Norwich. I think Watford will have enough to stay up, and I think Brentford will have enough to stay up, which is interesting. I definitely think both of them should be all right.
Which puts teams like Brighton into a bit of a scary position.
See, I would have said that, but the way last season, they were obviously the XG champions.
Yeah, that's Wolves this season.
and so far they've scored goals. If they score goals, they're not going to light the world on fire. They're probably not going to break that top 6. Obviously, they could. I'm going to premise it with a probably, because if they do, then at least I kind of half predicted it. But my tip to go down is Southampton. Ooh. And I know that seems a bit harsh. 2 points so far, 2 draws against United, and who else did they play? I'm not entirely sure. But I just think selling Danny Ings and then selling one of their better centre-halves was probably not clever.
Armstrong was a good replacement, though. He looks like Danny Ings and plays like him.
But, but the thing is, does he score like Danny Ings? Obviously, he scored his debut at Everton, which good finish, actually. They robbed him of possession, hit him on a counter, and really decent finish past Pickford, who obviously was on fire in the Euros. But just for me, I just think they're really going to struggle once we get into the thick of it.
Yeah, I think you've also got to wonder whether Steve Bruce has enough to keep Newcastle up again.
Newcastle up, yeah.
I mean, what they just sign Joe Willock? Is that all they signed?
But the other thing with them is, though, for me, Callum Wilson and
he's a Maximum baller. They both are ballers.
If both of them play even 60% of the games, which is nowhere near what they played last season, both of them, they'll be okay. Do you know what I mean? And Maximum on his own will keep that team up. Like, he terrorises players. Do you know what I mean?
He is really good. Yeah. I'm amazed none of the top 6 have sniffed around him.
Exactly. I mean, I really hope Liverpool snip him up, and that's the first mention of a team we support. I am a Liverpool fan, just so everybody knows, and it does induce bias sometimes, but I'm going to try and let it not. While I am.
When you've got me here, I'm happy to shut you down because I'm a Man United fan.
Yeah, exactly.
I can play the other end of the.
There we go. So yeah, that's my tip. There we go, Southampton, and I cannot fixate on that third one. As you said, Newcastle, they're a good shout.
I think I'm going to go Newcastle, Norwich, and Crystal Palace will be my 3.
Oh. See, okay, I've just looked at the table. I forgot this team existed because I despise them. But I would go Norwich rock bottom, Burnley to go down in 19th.
Oh Christ, I completely forgot Burnley existed.
And then Southampton to have a scrappy, and I reckon they just won't have enough. I mean, Ward-Prowse, he was looking at, if they had sold him this summer, apparently Villa were sniffing around him. If they had sold him this summer, they'd have been in deep, deep trouble. So I just think that they've not got the squad depth. They sold 2 of their best players. They're going to struggle. They brought in a few that look decent, as you said, Armstrong and Livramento from Chelsea. He's looked really half good, decent. He? Yeah. He's bargain on FPL, but again, he's not enough to keep them up, in my opinion.
No, valid.
There we go. And then, so as I said, then I think we're going to do like a dark horse. Who do we think's going to
overachieve?
Perhaps overachieve. There's a few teams here, and whether you count it as an overachievement again. We could talk about every team because anything any team do could be an overachievement. Do you know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, I've got 2 in my head. That one of them you could consider it not an overachievement, and the other one they have to change something, otherwise they won't get there. But the one
go on, you start.
You could consider them not to be an overachiever is Tottenham, because if they finish in the top 4, I think that's an overachievement for them.
Well, do you look at it and go, they spent the money and kept Kane? Because they obviously brought in some decent players. They brought in Romero.
That's the main one. We've got to play him first. He hasn't played yet.
No, but they have a little bit of time to bed in, don't they? So
yeah, it's true.
You let them off. They brought in
I still
Romero.
Think that the United squad, the Liverpool squad, the Chelsea squad, and the City squad are all stronger than them. So if they finish in the top 4, for me, that's an overachievement.
Yeah. So right towards the end of the window, they brought in that Emerson from Barcelona, and then they let go Aurier, which is a good bit of business.
Yeah, brilliant, because he's awful.
They brought in Brian Gill as well, and I've heard good things about him. I've never really seen him play.
They also
signed a bit like
Pepe Sarr, didn't they? But loaned him straight back. For the
but obviously that's not going to. And then they brought in that Atlanta goalie on loan.
Goalie,
which is probably I think I don't know if it was an obligation or
it's an obligation.
Option to buy. But they might end up bringing him in permanently.
Well, that's good,
and him
because
and Romero
they need to replace Hugo Lloris at some point. So, but yeah, I think them finishing in the top 4, which they look good for at the moment, especially after beating City, would be an overachievement
for sure.
And my other one is Wolves, Because if Wolves can work out how to put a ball in the goal, in a game that they've dominated, because they've dominated all three of their games so far and lost what have they lost?
Definitely the last two.
Yeah, they battered.
Yeah,
United.
they better than United, and they were better than. My God, we look so amateur. My mate went. He's a Wolves fan, season ticket holder. We'll get him on one day because he's a absolute maniac about Wolves, so he knows everything.
Nice.
But so they lost to United and they lost to Spurs as well. I know that. And then on the opening day, they also lost to Leicester and they had an absolute gilt-edged chance that Adama Traore passed up. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I have seen it.
It all gets a bit confusing.
Ruben Neves beautiful ball and he absolutely ruins it.
And yeah. So there you go. They definitely they could be the Brighton though. That's
if they can
what
work
worries
out
me.
how to change XG into G, then they'll be absolutely fine. They could break into Europe easy.
I like that Wolves chat, and as I said, you can probably say for everyone. I'll just rattle a few off that I think, as you said, Villa qualifying for Europa League, in my opinion, will be an overachievement. They lost their best player. Yes, they replaced him with decent players, but they've only been in the league for 2 seasons, so Europa League after that would be very decent. Yeah. Teams such as Watford, Palace, Burnley, Norwich, all of them, if they stayed up, that's an overachievement. I can't see many of them escaping. Brentford as well, if they stay up, that's an overachievement.
What do you think of the ones, everybody's favourite losers, Leeds?
I do like them, apart from the fact when they played you on the opening day of the season, they looked awful. Mm-hmm. But it's what you get with Leeds, isn't it? You get the really good or the really bad, and you don't get anywhere in between.
Yeah,
they've got picked up 2 draws so far. We're playing them next, which I fancy us for, to be honest.
Teams that play any decent football should tear Leeds apart, really.
Yeah. The thing is, what with them, it just looked like... It was probably unfortunate that it was at Old Trafford. If it had been at Elland Road, maybe I think you'd have still won, but it would have been a bit more competitive, and maybe it would have been like a huge 90th minute winner, because they are full of energy. But they just couldn't hold on to the ball. 2 draws against, one of them was against Burnley, who obviously we've already said we don't fancy this year.
Absolutely not.
So, again, an overachievement for them would be again finishing in the top half. I don't expect them to finish in the top half. Not second season syndrome where they get relegated like Sheffield United, but definitely they should be knocking on the door of the top half, 10th, 11th. If they finish there, I think they can be happy building that solid foundation,
Yeah. No, I agree.
But for me, 2 teams that could overachieve, and I don't think they will, but I've got to tip them for it, is Everton.
Right.
Everton
they haven't lost
getting
yet,
Europa League. No, it would be, but that would be a huge thing for them. Would be Everton and Brighton. Yeah. Brighton finishing anywhere between 8th and 12th, and I think they could. I really think Graham Potter's a great manager.
I agree with you. I think a lot of people disagree with that, but I think Graham Potter's a brilliant manager.
I think he's a really good... Well, as they said, I saw this tweet ages ago that was like, give Graham Potter anyone other than Welbeck and Maupay top half last season easily. And Shane Duffy's come back in from on loan from Celtic. They've brought in some good players, Nkok and Wet from Red Bull Salzburg, I believe, and some other players. They've tied Connolly back down to a contract, so there's some really decent bit of recruitment going on from them, and they could definitely overachieve. And an overachievement for me would be them.
I think the biggest problem that Brighton have got, that I saw a lot of Brighton fans being quite angry about in the last days of the window, is that their striking options aren't excellent. Yeah. When you've got Danny Welbeck and Maupay leading your line, it's not ideal in the top.
I like Danny Welbeck, but again, as you said, he's not like elite tier striker. I think he's a good striker. There was a period a few years ago where it just seemed whenever he played for England, he scored.
Yeah, we used to say as Man United fans, whenever he was wearing white, he was really good. Like when he wore our away kit, or when he played for England, he'd score. But other than that, he was awful.
So weird. Yeah. So again, and Maupay, he's put a few in the back of the net recently. So perhaps he's turned a corner, found his shooting boots. But yeah. So Everton, I think them pushing on into that top 6, disrupting Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal if he didn't qualify for Europe last season, but disrupting Arsenal, Tottenham, and then the other team we haven't really mentioned is West Ham, but West Ham have not got a big squad. And Thursday, Sunday football is going to be really, really difficult. So I'm not going to put my money on them. I wouldn't be surprised to see them finish where they finished last year. But again, at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised to see them finish in that mid-table where it's not doesn't really mean anything. Do you know what
Obscurity.
I mean? The fan, yeah. It obviously, as top 6 fans, we can sound a bit like arrogant towards this sort of thing, but when you play teams in that range of the table, you always think,
we've both been there. Liverpool and United have recently both been in that middle scrappy bit
where it's kind of a bit like, but it's with teams like that. You look at it towards the back end of the season, and you kind of go, we'll beat them. Whereas those relegated teams, you go, well, they're fighting for their life. We've got to be on top form to beat them. Do you know what I mean? You never think you're going to roll over a team in that bottom 3.
No, agreed.
So I think I'm cautiously optimistic for West Ham. I don't really have any feelings towards them as a club. I mean, Antonio's on fire at the moment, isn't he? Ben Rama looks like a beast, but when they're going back and forth to the depths of Europe, it's going to be difficult, especially the Thursday Sunday football. As I said, I've never enjoyed that as a fan. So
no, can't say I have either.
So then that moves us on to top 4. I think we've already discussed who we think is going to be the top 4. And I think nothing so far has shown me. I mean, obviously, as you said, Tottenham look decent. They could be banging on that door, and I'd like them to bang on that door. I know quite a few Spurs fans, and they're genuinely gutted with where the club is at the moment. And obviously, this is a lovely bit of optimism for them. But I think the top 4 is as we said, and it's probably the same as last year, isn't it? City, United, Chelsea, Liverpool. Whatever order that is in, I don't know. I'll open it up to you to discuss and see what you think straight away.
I think the difference from last year is that Leicester I don't think Leicester have the quality to stay with them for long.
I don't
season.
either. No, I do agree with that. I think the reason I don't think that is, I agree, is Brendan Rodgers had the perfect opportunity to do it last season. Liverpool were in disarray for a few months. Do you know what I mean? We were nothing like the Liverpool we know, or Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool anyway. And Chelsea were also in disarray over that Christmas period when Frank Lampard got sacked and Tuchel come in. And he didn't capitalise on it enough. Do you know what I mean? He did, and they were in the top 4 for a long, long time. But to miss out again, it's inexcusable, really. Obviously, they won the FA Cup.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit of a meme, but Leicester in the run-in are just they're a relegation side. They're so bad.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is, if it's mentality or what, but it's something they really need to improve on.
I've looked at it quite a lot, and obviously Rodgers himself doesn't have the greatest record in terms of like closing things out. Obviously, he won a lot at Celtic, but you just got to look back to Liverpool.
Yeah, true.
We're top of the league with weeks to go. We had a 9-point gap or something, and we bottled it with 3 games to go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you just look at that and you go, he's never closed it out. Obviously, circumstances were out of his control at points at Liverpool. The Gerrard slip obviously infamously cost us. Well, it didn't really cost us. That Crystal Palace game was the real kicker. But I just think that they haven't brought in like top quality that would really, really help them. I know they've brought in some decent players like Patson Daka at Liverpool were looking at him, and I'd quite like us to got him as like an option off the bench.
I think they made good signings for a club that develops players, which is what they are.
Even that defensive midfielder they brought in, they need to bring in someone to challenge Ndidi. I don't know who they could have brought in though. That's the thing. Like Ndidi is one of the best in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But they brought in.
He needs to
Suame.
Leave. He needs to go somewhere who's going to win something. Because otherwise, no one's going to recognise him as being as good.
They did win the FA Cup. They did win the FA Cup, and you can't take that away from them, can you?
Yeah, they won the Community Shield as well, if you want to count that.
Yeah, the only thing with that is obviously I don't know what was going on with City for those 2 weeks. Something happened to them.
Oh, City are bad starters. They have been for the past 2 years.
Yeah. But anyway, who then do you think at that top 4 is going to excel? Who do you think is going to pull away, or don't you?
I don't think there's not going to be an outlier, because I think Chelsea will draw a lot of games. They're really, really strong defensively, but they're not strong defensively because of the players they have there. Like, I don't think
Tuchel.
You'd pick Rudiger and really old Thiago Silva and Christensen as your 3 centre-backs if you were picking them as an ideal. But Tuchel is such a good defensive coach. And I think there is a little bit of hype around Lukaku that isn't necessarily warranted. I don't know He got outscored by Ronaldo in the league last season.
Yeah, I can see that, but then again, it is Ronaldo. Doesn't matter how old he is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he did tear it up, and they won the league, so you can't.
Yeah, no. I'm not.
He's
a fantastic player. He got a lot of stick at United that he didn't deserve, because I don't know how known it is, but Jose Mourinho completely deconstructed our sports science department while he was there.
Yeah.
So Lukaku has some sort of acute bowel problem, which our club didn't deal with because of that. I feel bad for him because he didn't deserve what he got at United. And I think he's a really good player, but I don't think he is the best striker in the league. That might be a controversial statement. I'm not sure.
No, best striker in the league is what's it called? A good a pedestal. You know, it's somewhere that you put the player because it's the Premier League. To be the best striker in the Premier League is an honour. And I can agree with that. He's certainly not right now. He's one of the best, but not the best.
But he will score and he will get a lot of chances. So
they'll create a lot for him.
I think Chelsea will win the league. That is my.
Really?
I think they'll win the league because they do have a striker. I know the City haven't, after Aguero got a little bit past the league. That's probably fair. I think last season he just wasn't at the pace of the.
It wasn't Aguero, no. No, I agree.
He was injured for a lot of it, wasn't he? But City makes so many chances. But at the end of the day, Pep Guardiola isn't a defensive manager. His defensive tactics aren't close to what Tuchel can do. So I think that at the end of the day, I think that will be what wins in the league. City can outscore most teams, but if you can't score against the team, then you can't beat them.
No, I think that I agree with the Chelsea thing. As you said though, all it takes is them being found out by one team, and that team then being replicated. You know, Sheffield United found it out last year, scored 5 past them. You know, it just takes a couple more of those managers to just get it right on the day. We played them, and obviously
wasn't it West Brom?
Yeah. Oh, was it West Brom? Yeah. Fuck. Oh, that's embarrassing, isn't it? I was just thinking about Callum Robinson because he played for Sheffield United the year before, I think, and he scored for them. But yeah. I don't know. The thing is, I don't want to put money on it. Like, I don't want to put it out there.
Well, we're not. We're putting a non-existent reputation on the line. So
exactly. I mean, I'd like to say Liverpool. I think that we've got back what we really needed, which was like just the mojo. You know, like we just know we're Liverpool. Even in the years we won the league and went really close, we didn't blow Chelsea away. We didn't blow all the teams away. We blew Burnley away and we blew Norwich away this year. And if you look at it in a positive way, the draw against Chelsea was an improvement on the result last year, and the win against Burnley at Anfield was the improvement on the result last year. We lost the game at Anfield against Burnley and we lost against Chelsea. So there's already 4 points we didn't get last year.
We should stress it is obviously early doors.
But it's still points we didn't get last year.
Yeah. No.
And it's 4 points closer to you, and it's 4 points closer to City. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's difficult. I also think United have got to be in that conversation. And I know that
I think we are
disagree with that, but any 4 of these teams can win it.
Yeah, exactly.
I've said this. I've had conversations about this a lot, and I think that all these teams will beat everyone else in the league, or majority of the other teams in the league. Obviously, we've seen already they haven't Tottenham beaten City and you dropping points at Southampton, but it's the games against each other that are going to be the margins. So that draw against Chelsea, it kept us in arm's length. Do you know what I mean? We didn't pull away from them. They didn't pull away from us. When we play you, just don't lose. Is the mantra. Do you know what I mean? I can't tell you who's going to win the league because City obviously lost to Tottenham and everyone else has dropped points. But it's going to be one of those 4, almost guaranteed. Yeah. Well, guaranteed. Like I will say guaranteed. And I'd hate it to be City. Again, as you said, they score so many chances. They'll just kick teams to death. They'll just pass them to death. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it is so difficult. It is so difficult. I'm gonna go out there and say Liverpool just because I've got blind faith in them.
That's fair enough. But it wouldn't surprise me if they won the league. I think the only team in the top 4 that would surprise me if they won the league is United. I don't, not because we don't have the quality, because we do. I don't know if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the manager to win the league.
See, I think that I was going to say this about a couple of the teams earlier. I think that perhaps you've got a good squad, and it doesn't matter how good the manager is when you've got players as good as you've brought in: Ronaldo, Varane, Sancho, etc., etc. You know, you've got some of the best players in the league. If you look at it, Varane, Ronaldo, Sancho, Fernandes, Pogba are all top 3 in their position easily. Maguire could easily be put in that top 3, top 5, 6 conversation. Luke Shaw as well, Wan-Bissaka as well. You know, so it's
we'll see.
I wouldn't be surprised if United won the league. Obviously, I'd hate it, but we'll wait and see.
I just want it to be close. That's all I want.
Yeah, so do I. It'll be amazing for it to be like a 4-horse race with like 6 weeks to go.
Yeah, but I didn't want to talk about transfers yet because we're going to do that.
Yes, it leads us nicely onto that.
Yeah,
it leads us nicely onto that. Our next topic is the transfer window. It obviously closed about a week ago now. And I want to know from you who won the transfer window and who potentially didn't. This is all Premier League, bear in mind. We will venture out into Europe eventually, but for now we'll just look at the Premier League.
I think there was a lot of underrated transfers that people aren't talking about a lot, and I think there's a lot of transfers that got talked about too much. I've already talked about Lukaku. I think he's a great guy and he scores a lot of goals, but I don't know if he's worth 100 million. Because he's... Well, actually, to be fair, if Harry Kane is worth 150 million, they're about the same age, so maybe he is worth 100 million. Jack Grealish is not worth 100 million pounds. Is my big bold statement of this. I mean, it's ridiculous. Honestly, he's not 100 million pounds of a player. He's not going to make a difference in a Champions League final. Put it that way. Not for me.
That's anyway. An interesting.
Also, I a lot of people don't like this, but the whole fanfare with Jack Grealish really pisses me off because he's just I can't see that he's a decent bloke. If you can prove to me that he's a decent bloke, and you can prove to me that he's better than driving around drunk in Birmingham in his car crashing into people.
Exactly, he's not a great bloke.
Exactly. Honestly, if Raheem Sterling did that during lockdown, he wouldn't play for England again, would he?
Ever. No, I do agree. There's that, but we do talk about his football, obviously, more than anything.
He's a good footballer.
I think he is a great footballer, yeah. Again, he's not worth £100 million, is he?
No.
But the English tax really helps that. If Sancho's worth 75, so's Grealish, you know? They've got very similar outputs. They play in relatively similar positions. Grealish has moved more centrally recently, but both wingers, you know,
I guess,
quite tricky on it.
I mean, in the Bundesliga is a different animal to the Premier League, obviously.
Yeah.
It's more... It's worse. But Sancho's output is better, but it was in a worse league, so we need to see them. We need to see how they do this season. But Sancho is also 21 and Grealish is 25, so there's that as well.
Yeah. So off that, who won the transfer window for you? Who had the best transfer window in the league?
You've got to think about it relatively. I think it's either United or Aston Villa. If I'm honest. Because if you're going to make money out of your best player, you might as well make a lot of money out of your best player, and they did that.
That's fair enough. So explain that more in detail. Obviously, they lost Grealish.
Yeah, so they lost Grealish. They bought Danny Ings, who I think outside the top 6 is probably the best striker in the league. And that's a fantastic piece of business. I remember seeing it because it came completely out of the blue, didn't it? No one they just announced they'd signed him. I think that's an absolutely brilliant piece of business for them. Because I think we've had conversations away from this that Ollie Watkins isn't. I'm not a fan. Yeah, we're not Ollie Watkins lovers. Emi Buendia is a great signing. I know that he only played in the Championship last season, but he was brilliant. He was the best player in the league.
Championship's a good league as well.
It'll translate well into the Premier League. I think
for sure.
Leon Bailey is a great signing. He's dynamic, he's rapid, play on both sides, and he'll create a ton of chances for them. So I think
they also brought in Ashley Young and Twanzebe, who are notable.
Young is brilliant because he's won a lot. He'll rub off on the young players. Axel Twanzebe pocketed Mbappe for a game, so that's always good.
Exactly.
I think it's a really good window for them. Both in because most of those players are quite young. Obviously, Danny Ings is kind of hitting the end of his prime, but he's still brilliant. Leon Bailey's quite young, so is Buendia. Yeah. Obviously, Ashley Young isn't, and Tuanzebe was on loan. But I think if you're going to get rid of Jack Grealish, that's the way that you cap off the window without him.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, as you said, I think United did some unbelievable business.
Yeah, I think as fans we were quite surprised by that. I think we kind of we knew we'd signed Jadon Sancho. That was kind of
that was guaranteed, wasn't
it? That was going to happen. After last
season.
That was
like a born death taxes Sancho kind of thing, wasn't it? That was things which just going to happen.
What will survive the nuclear apocalypse? Jadon Sancho being sold to Man United, cockroaches, and the DFS sale.
Exactly.
But after that, that's where it got a bit interesting, because I think if you'd have asked most United fans at the beginning of the window, what centre back do you think we will sign? I think Pau Torres would have been the number one pick, who I don't think is he just looks like a Spanish version of Victor Lindelof. It's no disrespect to either of them, because I think Victor Lindelof can be a brilliant centre back sometimes. I think Pau Torres looks decent at the Euros as well, but Rafael Varane is a different kettle of fish in terms of centre backs.
Yeah, he is definitely is. He's up there with Van Dijk, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been a top 5 centre back for the past 5, 6, 7 years. And I think it's just a brilliant signing. He's 28. He's not old.
No.
Perfect partner for Maguire. He's quick. He'll move about. He had a great first game against Wolves. I know that we got battered by Wolves, but the only reason we didn't lose to Wolves is a combination of David De Gea and Rafael Varane.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant. Away from him, it all got
Tom Heaton.
A bit bananas.
Tom Heaton, mate. What a signing that is.
I mean, as a third choice goalkeeper, you could do worse.
Yeah, no, I was joking. Obviously, Ronaldo's the big one, isn't he?
Yeah, because I mean, you messaged me the night before all of it happened, basically just asking how do you feel about him going to City, and I was absolutely emotionally battered. I couldn't sleep. I genuinely couldn't sleep. I sat up and I was like, oh, what is happening? This can't be happening.
Devoed. Yeah.
And as fate would have it, I had a doctor's appointment the day after, went into the doctor's appointment, came out, and I'd missed all the news dropping. I was like looking at Twitter going, hang on, what's going on here? And we signed him the same day. Absolutely bonkers.
It was mental. And
but
I don't think you can look past that.
No.
Like, that as a transfer window. Obviously, you didn't get that defensive midfielder.
No.
That you so.
That's the one caveat.
Yeah, but for sure, every other bit of business you did was outstanding, wasn't it?
Yeah, but in terms of how do you envision Ronaldo in the Premier League at 36?
The thing is, I can't look, but he's Ronaldo. He did it at the Euros. He scored 2 against Germany, and he scored against Hungary. Hungary are obviously not the best of opposition. Didn't like. He scored against France, didn't he? He scored a penalty.
Yep.
So you can't knock him for that. So yeah, I mean, people. I've seen a few people writing him off and saying he's 36. He's done. He's going to struggle with the physicality. He's not, is he? Let's be honest. He's going to come up against 2 or 3 really decent centre backs. In Van Dijk, Thiago Silva, and Diaz and Stones. Van Dijk partnered by Matip. Matip is so underrated. Thiago Silva part of that defensive unit, as we said before. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be fine. Do you know what I mean? If he starts regularly, he's going to score 20, 25 goals, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Well, he should. I mean, he scored 29. I think that's right in the
20
Serie A last
29.
season.
I think maybe 27. I can't remember.
And when the best player giving you ball there is probably Paulo Dybala.
He's got 4 people.
When you've got Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba, Jadon Sancho, and when Rashford comes back, Marcus Rashford giving you the ball. Mason Greenwood.
But Mason Greenwood, what I was going to caveat that with, and then you've got Mason Greenwood under him, learning from him when he's already top class. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, Mason Greenwood's going to be an animal, man.
This is why you just can't look past United for winning the transfer window. They were just outstanding. They just smashed it. The Glazers obviously took note. It doesn't sort everything, but it sorts a lot. Do you know what I mean?
I could talk about the Mason Greenwood all day, man. He's
sensational. Mental. He's a great footballer. It then takes us on to who potentially didn't have a great transfer window.
I said to you just before we started this, I think Newcastle in the Premier League had a poor transfer window.
I can see what you mean. They obviously needed to strengthen a lot more than they did. They did bring in Santiago Munoz, and obviously we all know how that story goes. He's going to end up playing for Real Madrid in a couple of years' time.
True.
And Joe Willock. And Joe Willock's a sensation. It was a sensation for them, wasn't he, towards the back end of the season? And I like him. I think he's decent. He's a
good player.
Midfielder, isn't he?
I just think the problem that they're going to have, and we touched on it in the prediction part, is that if Wilson and St. Maximin get injured, then they are stumped. They are
in trouble. Yeah.
They don't have depth to compete at all past those two, really.
No.
So only bringing in Willock is a bit of an issue for them, I think, in terms of major, first team signings. I think that's a problem.
Yeah, towards the back end of the season they were decent. They brought in a couple of new coaches, and apparently they were half decent. But I think they should be all right. It's not a great window, and obviously I'll put my thoughts into this. And I think that Liverpool didn't have a great window either. Obviously, last season we were decimated by injury at centre half, and we brought in a centre half, so you can't complain about that.
Yeah,
but we've so far now this season we've seen Firmino go down with injury, Minamino potentially have an injury now, and Harvey Elliott's just withdrawn from the under-21 squad. Apparently it's not too serious, but if it is, there's our right wing, left wing, striker, potential striker, and centre mid cover.
Hasn't Harvey Elliott been playing centre mid?
Yeah, the thing is he is a winger, but Klopp's wanted to see him deeper, and he's been very good deeper.
Yeah, he's really
he's
good.
One of them players that's going to be able to look good in all these positions. So I've got a lot of faith in him. But yeah, we just needed to bring in, and I'm not complaining because I think that we've got the three of the best players in the league up front, but we just needed someone behind them. And then Jota last season was a great player, a great signing, etc. It's just that we needed that one other player, you know what I mean? It doesn't even have to be a superstar.
To me, it seems that you've replaced Wijnaldum with one of your younger players that you've moved into a different position.
Not upset about it. There was rumours about Sal at the start of the window.
Yeah.
I always thought that was a bit unrealistic. I never thought we'd get him.
Jonathan Barnett, his agent, is known for just throwing around names of clubs to drum up interest, so it's difficult to know.
But yeah, we weren't really linked with many other centre midfielders. We've got a lot, which is the ironic thing. If you look at it, our top three centre midfielders are probably Fabinho, Thiago, Henderson. Below that, you've then got Keita, you've got Harvey Elliott, you've got Curtis Jones, you've got Milner. Milner's obviously on his last legs, bless him. But Keita and Elliott look dynamite so far this season. And Jones, I'm a big Curtis Jones fan. So maybe we didn't, maybe we did. As I said, I think the biggest place we needed to improve was the striker, the forward cover. Just someone who can play along that front line, especially after letting Shaqiri go. We just needed to bring someone in who's gonna
fair enough.
Caveat that.
I think
so. There.
Oh no!
Go for it. No, you go for it.
I think it's probably worth just giving a mention to maybe West Ham. I think they had a half decent window to get
definitely
Vlasic.
In the end, they did.
They'd left it late, but I think Kurt Zouma's a really good signing. I actually think he's a really good centre back.
They had a good window in the end. Obviously, their biggest four being Areola from PSG on loan. Kurt Zouma, Vlasic and Krau. They brought them all in within Areola's been there since the start of the season, but Kurt Zouma, Vlasic and Krau all came within the last week, and that is strong. That is a good good crop of players.
To get in somebody instead of Lingard, because Lingard pushed them on really far at the end of the last season, to fill in his role once United clearly didn't want to get rid of him. And then Kurt Zouma in centre-back is quality, really, I think. Yeah. But that's the last time I had anything to talk about, really. I think.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we'll now move on to a more current period part of the show where we're going to look at the week ahead. Obviously, as we said, we're in the international break, and we've recorded this a bit earlier than we usually would going forward. And we'll look at the fixtures as we go ahead for about 10 minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. So we're looking ahead at the weekend. We've got big weekend of Premier League football coming up. Unfortunately, there's not too many blockbuster ties.
No.
The two that I've picked out are Leeds versus Liverpool and Leicester versus Man City. They're the two of the heavyweights going up against Leeds, and then obviously Leicester, we mentioned them, have had a good previous 2 seasons. How do you see either of those games going?
Because Leeds is at Leeds, isn't it? So Ellen Road's going to be bouncing. I can see, as you said, with the way that United played, I think because it was Old Trafford, we battered them. If it had been at Ellen Road, it would have been really tight. I can see that being really tight because Ellen Road will be
bouncing.
Will be a horrible place to have to play at if you're a Liverpool player.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
especially with the way that I mean, Leeds are energy anyway. Imagine having the energy of behind them.
This is where I think that potentially we catch them out. Is they will be full of energy, and we will as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we know how teams are going to play against us. They're going to try and go full throttle. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe I should have prefaced that and said that I think Liverpool will win, because I think they will win, but I think it's going to be
I don't think we'll batter them. I wouldn't be surprised to see us concede a goal. But again, I think Salah's going to be on it. He's had a 2-week He's had a 2-week rest because he didn't go on the internationals.
Of course.
So yeah, I think we'll be all right. Excited to see Jota again. I love watching him play. He's a fantastic footballer.
Actually, I'll be quite excited to see Dan James play. Actually, I think Dan James is a good signing for Leeds. So
I don't know if he will play because he went straight off, didn't he, to the internationals. He's not trained with Leeds.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So I don't think they'll throw him straight, and they might and just go run, and he might go all right.
That's all he does anyway. It's his job.
But yeah, that's on the Sunday, and then on the Saturday just before that, we've got Leicester versus City at Leicester. I picked this out because obviously Leicester did do him last year. That was at the Etihad, but they did do him at one point early on in the season again. And obviously they have been the nearest challengers to that top 4 for the last few years. So I just wondered what your thoughts on that were as well.
I think that one's a bit different because I don't think that Leicester versus City is as big a game as Leeds versus Liverpool. In terms of just history, I don't think. I mean, nobody has history with City, do they? Let's be honest. But I think it's a difficult game for both of them. Leicester do have quality, just not as much quality as City, and I think that's where it's going to come to fruition. City will. I
do agree.
I think City will just score more than them. I see it being quite open, because
it's a 3:00 game, so we can't really watch it because we can't get them dodgy streams anymore. So a couple of the apps have closed.
Well, down, you're telling me, mate. Ronaldo's probably going to play against Newcastle at 3:00 and can't bloody watch it.
Oh, mate, what a nightmare!
I know. Last time we played him, he scored a hat-trick. Granted, it was 13 years ago, but
but no, I think that's an interesting one. I just picked it out because as I said, there weren't too many blockbuster games. I hope I haven't missed one, but they usually put the big ones on TV. And
Jamie Vardy does like playing against City, though, doesn't he?
He does. City are going to win because they just create so many chances. Leicester haven't looked like Leicester so far. Do you know what I mean? Of course, I did miss out the big relegation 6-pointer with Arsenal versus Norwich.
Oh Christ!
But. You know, I can't look past Arsenal, despite how bad they are. Yeah, despite how bad they are, I can't look past Arsenal. But yeah, and then it moves us on to the best part of the show, the Champions League. It's back, baby. Mate, it's a huge week as well. I didn't realise how many big games there were this week as well. It starts off with Barca and Bayern. These are just the marquee fixtures again. There's a lot more fixtures. Go and have a look on all the good footballing apps if you want to find out all the fixtures. We're not sponsored, so we can't say that.
Yeah.
Use any specific one. We've got Barca versus Bayern, City Leipzig, Liverpool Milan, and then Inter Milan versus Madrid. Blockbuster. Right. 3 of them are absolute blockbuster, and then there's City versus Leipzig.
Yeah. 2 clubs that just bought their way.
Exactly. I had to put them in there because I think that is quite a big game. Yeah, no,
it'll be good because Leipzig. I mean, I haven't watched Leipzig since they lost Nagelsmann, but Nagelsmann hasn't had an ideal start. Bayern, has he?
No, they haven't lit up the world this season as well. They've dropped a few points early on.
They bought that youngster from Barcelona.
Yeah, and I think he's a decent little acquisition. So I think they'll be all right. But yeah, Barca versus Bayern. Last time they played, it finished 8-2 to Bayern Munich.
It won't be as bad this time, but Bayern should still win that game.
They should, shouldn't they? Barcelona are not the same. If Luke de Jong plays, though, who knows?
Man, how have they gone from a front line of...
I know.
Even
especially
last season.
If you look at the front line, even the last time they played them, Messi, Suarez, Griezmann would have been playing. to potentially Depay, Luke De Jong, and who knows? Ousmane Dembele's hospital bed. I don't know.
Is Fatty fit? Fatty's injured as well, isn't he? God damn it.
Yeah, for now he is. Yeah, but they're in disarray. So hopefully, I just thought we better touch on that because that is a blockbuster game.
I can see Bayern winning that game. Yeah, that's what I'm saying for
sure. And then we've got two absolute blockbuster ties. I don't think people realise how blockbuster these are. Liverpool, Milan, and then Inter versus Madrid. That is unbelievable. That is going to be absolutely class. Liverpool, Milan at Anfield is going to be amazing. And I think that this whole Anfield atmosphere, etc., will completely be dispelled come the 15th of September because two of the biggest heavyweights in European football who have never played each other outside of a final in the group
Have
together.
you not? That's mental.
That is mad, isn't it? I saw a tweet the other day that was like, this kid was like, I can't wait for Liverpool to play Milan at the San Siro. That's going to be amazing. And a Chelsea fan went, we've played them at the San Siro. And the Liverpool fan went, yeah, it's because we've only played them in finals. And I thought that was quite funny. That's going to be amazing.
Game.
Obviously, Milan aren't the same Milan. They're decent. They are decent. Don't get me wrong. They're just not Milan that we played in the final.
They've got a couple
years ago
of really good players, but aside from that, they just don't have the quality that Liverpool have.
I think we'll win. I had to include it because I think it's going to be an absolutely blockbuster game. It's going to be, the atmosphere is going to be electric from both fans, so that's going to be amazing.
Kessie was really good when he played against us last season. So
they're decent. To be fair, they gave you a decent game. I don't think we'll roll them over. I think we'll win. Mm-hmm. I just don't think we'll roll them over. Giroud worries me.
Yeah, fair.
Olivier Giroud does worry me, but we'll have to wait and see. And then it's Inter versus Madrid. Inter
versus Madrid, I think, is two clubs that are at the same stage. Really, Madrid are having problems. Well, I thought they were having financial problems, but they must have done some dodgy dealing with the government to offer PSG 200 million for Mbappe. But we'll leave that. Exactly. It didn't happen. But in terms of where their squads are at the moment, I think they're probably fairly similar. There's a couple of world-class players that play for Inter still, and there's a couple of world-class players that play for Madrid still.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Inter did decent business. Lost Hakimi and Lukaku. Brought in Dumfries for Hakimi, which is a very, very good piece of business.
Yep.
They brought in Dzeko to replace Lukaku, which obviously isn't the same calibre.
No, but he's really good in their league, isn't he?
Scores goals. Yeah. Scores goals, doesn't he? That's all you can say about him.
And Madrid brought in, was it just David Alaba? Did they sign? Oh, no, and Camavinga, of course, obviously.
Camavinga and Alaba. And Alaba's a decent acquisition. He's a good little player. So
and Camavinga will be a decent acquisition. Just taking time.
Yeah, he probably won't play, which is a shame. But yeah, I do think that's going to be a good game at the San Siro. First Inter game at the San Siro in a long time for the Champions League anyway. Because obviously they played last year without fans. Yeah. So it's going to be really decent to watch that. Yeah. Who do you tip in that one? I can see it going either way. I'm going to go Inter just for the home advantage.
Yeah. I think Lautaro Martinez against what won't be the ideal back four for Madrid.
Yeah, exactly. Perhaps a 2-1.
Yeah,
I can see Madrid scoring. Benzema and Bale look on fire. To be fair, Bale's
played really well. A happy Gareth Bale is a really scary Gareth Bale.
Exactly, and he's under Ancelotti, who loves him, so he should be all right.
So again, I think it'll be close, but I think it feels like a Titan game where both of the Titans have lost a bit of their
Yeah, it does for sure. It's one of them ones that like 10 years ago you'd have been like, oh my god. Oh my god, this is amazing! And now you're like, yeah, this will be cool. Like, it will
good
be
game,
cool.
But I think the pick and bunch is Liverpool Milan, 100%.
Yeah, I just love watching the. I mean, every Liverpool game is going to be pick of the bunch. Well, maybe not when we play Porto, but versus Atletico Madrid is going to be decent. I'm looking forward to that. Suarez against Liverpool is going to be good fun.
Oh yeah,
that's going to be good fun.
I just want to watch Ronaldo batter some young boys. In our
it is going to be fun. It's going to be so excited with all these fans back and everything. It's going to be amazing.
Should be a good Champions League this season. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it should be. I think that just about wraps up everything we wanted to talk about today. Yeah. I think we've gone on a little bit longer than we thought. It's going to be edging towards 50 minutes to an hour, which is obviously not ideal. But, what can you do? I hope you've enjoyed doing this for the first episode, Jamie.
I have, yeah. I like talking about football. I live with my girlfriend, and my course is illustration, so nobody talks about football there. So I just spout football as soon as I can talk to somebody about it. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
My life is football. Like, if I didn't have football, I'd be stuffed. But, yeah, it is good fun. We're probably going to record the next one next Friday, based on the fixtures, Champions League, etc., so we can cover everything. And they'll probably go up on a Friday, so it'll be a quick turnaround. But it was a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. And we hope everyone enjoyed this. Every 10 of you. That's what I'm going for, 10 viewers. Every 10 of you that listen to this, I hope you enjoyed it. Share it around. Tell everyone about it. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok, because, why don't we create a TikTok? And also check out our other podcast, A Chat Show, which will be coming out very, very soon. As you can tell, we like talking. So why don't we just talk about anything, is what I thought. And that will be out very, very soon. But for now, we'll see you later.
Cheers.